All right, what is good, ladies and gentlemen, is the Themasr reviewer back again with another review, and today we're doing a review for Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer. It has been a while since we reviewed a Marvel film, but I am going to try to get back to reviewing the rest of the Marvel films. We took a bit of a break to focus on some other stuff, but I am going to start getting back into it. And it's the final Marvel film before we actually get to the MCU. The next film is going to be Iron Man, so that is exciting. So this is a first-time watch for me, and let us just begin starting off with the plot. So the plot of the film is that basically after the events of the last film, the Fantastic Four, they're now big celebrities and stuff, and Reed as well as Sue, they're planning to get married and stuff, and the media is all over it. Basically now at this point they're celebrities, and so like everyone's interested in what they're doing. So Reed and Sue, they are like planning to get married and stuff. But while this is happening, there are these global anomalies going on of basically a sea in China, I think, freezes. There was the pyramids in Egypt. It's like there's snow going on in Egypt and stuff. Weird things going on, as well as craters that are appearing throughout the world. So you have the leader of not leader, I don't know, a general from the U.S. government, played by Andre Braugher, the guy that plays Captain Holt from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. So cool to see him. Rest in peace. I do know he died, sadly. So General Hager, he basically comes to recruit Reed, basically telling him like about the anomalies and saying like, we need your help in order to track down what's going on. But Reed kind of denies the request. He's like, no, I have to focus on my wedding with Sue, because there was a big thing in the last. It was all the whole plot point in the last film of Reed not being able to let go of his work in order to focus on Sue. He was too obsessed with his work and stuff. So he does basically tell the general that he's not willing to create a beacon in order to track down the anomaly, but then he does end up secretly working on it because he just can't help himself. So he ends up creating this device that is able to track down what the anomaly, which we end up finding out like pretty much like from the start. We already know it is the Silver Surfer. And so, that ends up happening. Then the wedding actually happens. Sue and Reed, they are getting married, but right in the middle, as like they're supposed to be saying their vows or whatever, like right in the middle of the wedding, Reed gets an alert on a device of his, and basically saying that one of the anomalies are about to happen. And so, it just so happened that's when the Silver Surfer basically like flies by the wedding area. It causes like a disturbance. A helicopter that was like watching the wedding for, I don't know, news coverage or something, ended up like crashing and like destroying the wedding area. And so from there, Johnny Stormy ends up going after the Silver Surfer, and so there's like a bit of a chase sequence that happens, and it ends with the Silver Surfer grabbing Johnny and kind of messing with his powers a bit. And so throughout the film after this, his powers are like a bit on the fritz, as well as he has this strange new ability where when he touches one of the other Fantastic Four members, he trades powers with them. So that is what's going on with Johnny. And so from there, the Fantastic Four, they end up working with the military, and I think at some point also like Victor Von Doom from the last film, he is still alive, and so he ends up meeting the Silver Surfer at some point and like just trying to work with him, but then the Silver Surfer isn't willing to work with him, so he tries to blast him. The Silver Surfer blasts him back, and so from there you have Victor. He is working as well with the US government, and so it just leads to like the Fantastic Four. They have to kind of team up with Victor, even though they don't trust him because of the events of the last film. They know that he's up to no good. So anyway, from there you have some more anomalies going on. They're able to like track where the different anomalies are happening. So when I say anomalies, it's like craters showing up basically, or like snow or something like that when there shouldn't be snow, I guess. So they end up going to London in order to stop these anomalies, but because of like Johnny's whole switching powers thing, it doesn't go exactly as planned. And Johnny honestly gets a lot more focus in this film compared to the last film. The last film, he was just kind of like, he was happy about getting powers and stuff, compared to like everyone else who was kind of having a bit more of a difficult time with it. And in this film, they do actually give him a bit more of a focus compared to in the last film. So that is nice, of like him feeling like he is left out of the team, and he doesn't really want he has no one for himself. Like everyone has someone. Like Reed has Sue. Ben is with Alicia from like that he met her in the last film, and in this film, like Johnny, he kind of feels alone. And also there's a plot point about Reed and Sue. They're thinking like, oh, how are we going to raise a family like when our lives are this crazy and stuff? We need to like. So Reed suggests like, okay, let's move away. Let's go somewhere I can be a teacher, and we can like live somewhere like off the grid or something like that, like away from the public spotlight. And so Johnny feels like everyone's kind of moving on without him, so he feels bad. So I think that was a good plot point for Johnny. Anyway, moving ahead, the government, Reed comes up with a solution. They find out that basically the Silver Surfer's powers, he's powered by his board, his Silver Surfboard thing. So they end up coming up with a plan, like these devices that can cause a pulse that would disconnect the Silver Surfer from his board. So they end up going through with the plan. But before they actually do end up doing that, Sue does end up talking with the Silver Surfer for a bit, asking like why he's doing what he's doing, and he saying like I'm not the one doing it. It's like I'm just surveying my master. Like he's the one that's doing this. Anyway, that we'll get into that a bit after. But yeah, so the pulse goes off. They manage to capture the Silver Surfer, and from there he is brought in for questioning. The Fantastic Four, they're kind of like kept away from him because the government doesn't want to let them get near the Silver Surfer. But anyway, Sue, she ends up sneaking in to discuss, to speak with him again. For some reason, there's like no security cameras in the area. There were no guards watching the Silver Surfer at the time. Like they just left the room for some reason, which I thought was kind of stupid. But anyway, so Sue ends up talking with the Silver Surfer, asking him about his motives and stuff and why he's doing what he's doing. He reveals that he is doing so, what he's doing, he's like leading, by the way, his master is Galactus, like from the comics and stuff. In this movie, he's just like a giant, it's not like the actual character you really see. Maybe you see like a silhouette at one point, but it's basically just this giant storm that is floating through space, I guess. So anyway, so from there, we find out that the Silver Surfer is doing what he's doing in order to prevent Galactus. Like he has a deal, I guess, going on with Galactus where Galactus will not harm his planet, and by proxy, the person that he loves, like by the way, his name, he reveals it a bit later on, but his name is Norinrad. So he like basically says that he is doing so in order to protect the woman he loves, basically. So that is, and he saved Sue because she reminded him of the person he loves. So anyway, they end up. So from there, Victor, his deal with the government was that if he helps to bring in the Silver Surfer, he would be able to study the board of the Silver Surfer, and so while he gets access to the board, and then he betrays the government. He starts like using his powers to attack all the guards and stuff. He ends up killing Hager. So he ends up escaping with the board, and so from there, the Fantastic Four, they break out the Silver Surfer, and then their mission is to stop. They have like three kind of objectives, not three objectives, but Ben states something about how they're enemies of the U.S. government. They have to go after Victor, who now has the board, and they have to stop Galactus' board before he ends up getting there. So the final act of the movie is basically they have to they have to stop Victor, who is on the board, so they end up like flying all the way to, I don't even know how they got all the way to China. I don't really remember where they were in the forest areas where they met the Silver Surfer, but anyway, they make it to China, and then some stuff happens. They end up giving all of their powers to Johnny. Johnny ends up getting all the powers of the Fantastic Four. He ends up fighting Victor and managing to defeat him and separate him from his board. And then from there, Sue ends up, Victor tried to kill the Silver Surfer, but Sue tried to stop him. So he like threw like a spear at this Silver Surfer, or I could probably say Norin, I guess. So he throws a spear. Sue tries to stop it with her force field, but it doesn't work, and she ends up being stabbed like in the heart or something like that, or yeah. So the Silver Surfer, now that he has his board back, he uses his powers in order to revive Sue Storm, and from there he goes to stop Galactus by basically kind of suicide bombing himself. Like I don't really know exactly how it worked, but he used his powers in order to defeat Galactus, and then in the process, I think he was supposed to kill him as well, but then there's a post-credit scene where basically he's still alive. So anyway, so from there, yeah, Victor is, I guess, drowning in the ocean. I have no clue what's going on with him, but the Silver Surfer, in the post-credit scene, he's revealed to be alive. And you have finally Sue and Reed, they end up getting married in China away from all the publicity, but while that's happening, there is another anomaly or whatever, like something that they have to go investigate, and so they quickly have their wedding done, and then they go off to save the day, I guess, and that is where the movie ends. And I didn't mention, I'll get into it with the characters, but yeah, overall the plot, I would say I do like the higher stakes. The higher stakes do work of like the Silver Surfer this time, like trying to destroy the planet, compared to the last film where it's basically just like Victor versus the Fantastic Four. So I'm going to give the plot, I would say, between a 3 to a 4 out of 5, and I think I'm going to be a bit harsh with that. I'm just going to give it a 3 to 5. I would say it's all right, definitely, but it is not the most interesting, but definitely good. Like basically just like they need to stop the they need to stop their plan from getting destroyed. A bit basic, a bit generic, but still it works, I would say. So in terms of the characters, I think the Fantastic Four, they're still great. I really like this team of heroes in the Marvel universe. I guess I think that they are good. Reed is great, Sue's great, Ben is great as well, and Johnny especially, like, he feels like a highlight of this movie, where he has a lot more screen time, and like they focus on him a lot more, like his character, compared to the last film, where it just felt like he didn't really have I think I even mentioned in my review, it doesn't really feel like he has an arc. He didn't learn anything by the end of the film. So this film, he does feel like he has no one that cares for him really, and he does by the end of the film. There is this military woman, I think her name is Frankie Ray, and apparently I'm pretty sure she is, I looked it up, I think apparently she's Nova from the comics, I guess. So yeah, maybe, I mean, this film never got a sequel, but maybe at some point with the whole multiverse stuff going on nowadays in MCU, maybe something will happen with that. But anyway, so yeah, by the end of the films, I guess he kind of shows himself to be selfless, and so I think he's dating her now. So that is good that by the end of the film there is someone that for him to love, I guess. So anyway, yeah, so the characters, Alicia, she's in this a bit. I think General Hager is good. Again, rest in peace to Andre Braugher, great actor. He was good in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. He was good in this as well. I think, yeah, it was good, nice back and forth between him and Reed. Victor, I didn't really like Victor as much in this film. Like in the last film, it was good. It was like he was trying to get revenge on the Fantastic Four for number one, for Reed kind of stealing Sue away from him, for them kind of destroying his company. They end up becoming like these big heroes that everyone loves, while he is like left forgotten and like with his business destroyed, I guess, his company. So this film, he's revealed to still be alive. Honestly, I don't know how he survived in the last film, and he teams up with them temporarily, but he like doesn't really help in any way. And then they manage to defeat the Silver Surfer, and then from there he steals the board. And then I don't even know his plan. Like his plan is basically, like, what's he planning to do about Galactus? They literally say, you need to give the board to the Silver Surfer so that we can stop Galactus. And he's like, oh, try to take it from me. It's like, what is your plan here? It's like the Galactus is going to show up, the planet's going to get destroyed, and then what? You're just going to fly through space on a board or something like that? Which I don't even think he could breathe in space. That hasn't been shown yet. So anyway, I didn't think Victor was as great as the last film, I would say. So overall, the characters, I will give the characters, I'll go a 7.5. I'm going to say I thought that they were very good characters. I think also the Silver Surfer, his inclusion was pretty good. We didn't see too much of him, to be honest, but he is still definitely a good character, like this guy that he, not a good character, like he did end up, no, he's a good character, it's just morally he's not great. He did end up leading, because of him, probably a lot of worlds were destroyed, but I think that he is still a cool character. The power scenes, that when he's using his powers, when he is speaking with Sue, I think it's good. And yeah, so definitely, yeah, apparently he's like one of the strongest characters in Marvel, which the first time I heard that, I was like, really, this guy, like he flies on a board. Like I didn't think he would be as powerful as he is, but watching him in this film, he is like pretty powerful, I guess. So yeah, in terms of the settings, let's see here, what was there? There was the forest areas, it didn't feel like we saw as much of like the city as we did in the last film, to be honest, with like there was the whole bridge scene in the last film, as well as, I don't know, it just felt like we saw more areas of the city, whereas in this film, it doesn't feel like we see a bit more of Reed's lab, but a lot less than the last film, I would say. So the China areas at the end are fine, I guess. The settings, I don't really care for any of them in particular. So London, that was all right. I'm just going to go like a 5 out of 10. I didn't think that any of the settings were that great. We didn't even get to see a lot of space like we did in the last film, so I think the settings are probably a downgrade from the last film, but I'll still say a 5 out of 10. Nothing bad, just like nothing great, I would say. In terms of the action, I think that cool action. I kind of liked it a bit more in the last film, where it's like the characters were kind of getting used to their powers and they were new to the whole thing. This film, it's like they do have more of a handle on it. So there are a few, not really too many action moments, to be honest. Like there's the fight between Johnny and the Silver Surfer, and besides that, there is like at the end where they're going after Victor, but it is kind of like them on these plane things that Reed built, so it's not them directly like fighting Victor with their powers, and so I think that is not as good, I would say. So I think the use of their powers are probably better in the last film, but I do think that when they do use their powers, when Johnny ends up having when he does end up getting, I think the power swapping is also like a pretty cool dynamic, but it's not used too much, I would say. So the action, I'll just give I'll go with 5.5. I'll say it was decent action, but nothing really stuck out. Like in the last film, like it felt a bit more memorable, their powers, I would say, and them just getting their powers, getting used to it, them using it against Victor and stuff. So anyway, in terms of the worst thing, I would say that the worst thing was probably just Victor, honestly. Like I didn't like him as much as, like the last film, I thought he was pretty good, and in this film, he just feels very much like, I don't know, just they didn't have a goal for it. Like what is the point of him? It's like he wants the board, I guess, to become powerful, but at the end of the day, it's like the planet's going to get destroyed by Galactus, so I don't get what the point of, like, what he's doing. Like, I don't get his motives, really. So, yeah, Victor, I would say he was, I'll go like a 4.5, I'll say not good. I think his role was better in the last film, I would say. In terms of the best thing, I think the best thing was, I'm not sure, I would probably just like I'll go like I'll reuse the best score, which was the characters, which I gave us 7.5, so I'll go another 7.5 for the characters. I like these characters, these are good characters in the Marvel Universe, and yeah, I like the team, the Fantastic Four is, honestly, they're turning into one of my favorite teams in Marvel, I would say, and so, yeah, I'm gonna go with 7.5 for the characters of the film. So, anyway, that is all the scores, so let's see here any extra notes that I did not already mention. I think at this point I mentioned everything already, so I'm going to do the calculations. So King Crimson. Alright, so it ends up coming out to exactly a 6 out of 10, which would be above average, but I think I would give it higher than that. I think I would probably give this, like, I think a 6.5. I think I would say a solid 6.5. I thought it was good. I don't think it was as good as the last film. It's been a while now since I reviewed the last film, but I'm pretty sure the last film I gave it was either a 7 or a 7.5, and if I would rate it now, it's been a while since I watched it. I think I would give it somewhere between 7 to 7.5. You can go back to my actual review for the first film and check what I actually gave that film. But yeah, right now I would say the first film was between like a 7 to a 7.5. I think this film, it's a bit worse than the last film. I think the last film was just a bit better in my opinion, but this film is still a good film, so I'm going to give it a 6.5, I would say. Still, yeah, solid 6.5, good film, I would say. Anyway, that is pretty much all there is to it, so if you have any recommendations. By the way, I don't want to end this before I mention we did hit a new subscriber record at 86 subscribers, so big thank you to any of the subscribers, commenters, viewers, recommenders, anyone that is interacting with the channel in any way, shape, or form. I greatly do appreciate it. So once again, big thank you for 86 subscribers. We're getting close to 100, which is going to be very fun when we do hit that. And yeah, that is pretty much all there is to it. So if you have any recommendations, any shows, movies, video game stories, anime, manga, web series, anything that you want me to review, leave it in the comments and I will maybe possibly check it out. But that said, that is pretty much all there is to it. So let's leave it at that.